Hello, fellow basement dwellers, and in today's video, I would like to be talking about my favorite things about 40k, where I think the narrative should go, and what factions and what things in general I think need more attention in the setting. This is a very special video because it is my birthday, and I've been saving this for my birthday because this is something I've really been wanting to talk about. Please enjoy today's video. Now, one of my favorite things about 40k is the Severin Dominant. For those of you who don't know, the Severin Dominant is a large area that is a massive independent human faction. They are not Chaos aligned or Zenos aligned. And they still worship the God Emperor of Mankind. Now, given just how goddamn fractionalized and how Holy Terror can't rule their planets properly and how many planets are being governed by Space Marine chapters or by rogue governors, you really think there would be more independent systems that have just declared independence but still worship the Emperor. And even human factions that don't worship the Emperor. The Severin Dominant is just one example, and they're kind of just like the Diet Coke Imperium, but I would really love for more human factions on the outskirts of the galaxy to be rebelling. I would, especially given the fact that the Eye of Terror is now the Great Rift, and now half the Imperium is in darkness. I would love for there to be dozens of mini empires that would form their own unique military structures, cultures, alliances, and the Imperium not be able to put these rebellions down. Because I feel like almost all rebellions are caused by chaos or gene stealer uprisings. Good God, given how just decentralized and how much the Imperium's cracking at the seams, I would just love the Severin Dominance return, and for many factions like it to pop up. Other things that I would love to get more attention are the Leagues of Votann. The Leagues of Votann are back in 40k, and good God has Games Workshop not noticed. It is baffling how we have such an interesting concept that they brought back. I am not weirded out the fact that they kind of got rid of them. I'm weirded out that they brought them back and have pretty much done nothing for over a year, even though much of the loves the Space Dwarves. And I think given the fact that they kind of worship the Ancestor Cores, which, for those of you who don't know, are AI, and also the fact that they're one of the few factions that has nearly limitless raw resources because they live in the galactic core where it's almost never been mined before, I think there could be some very good unstable alliances where they could be exporting resources to just about every faction. The Imperium, many of the smaller human factions that I really want to come back and or, sprout off, like the Severin Dominants, the Tau, Eldar, probably not the Eldar, the Mechanicus. They could just be, selling very well and in some parts, not just rare, almost unheard of minerals, resources, and metals to these various factions that would have to play nice to an extent in order to buy from them. Buying at a very high price, I imagine. And even then, just the general warring they do with the Imperium would be very interesting. I absolutely love the idea of, these seasonal wars, like how they have with the Tau, where it's a constantly on-off war. There's no great push to defeat the enemy, it's just a basic military conflict to defend your territory. And the Leagues of Votann are certainly not afraid to get their hands dirty to get some sweet, delicious minerals. Not to mention, having the Leagues of Votann, be more center stage would also just make the galaxy feel more lived in, and also pay homage to mankind's history. The Leagues of Votann used to be humans. They use old human technology. Their robot companions are literally just men of iron who they were nice to. Also, we're literally in the fourth Tyrannic War, where mankind is being ravaged by Tyranids. It would be very nice to see the Leagues of Votann, who, for those of you who don't know, had an entire one of their kin groups being, independent governments, wiped out by the Tyranids, and right now they see the Tyranids as a massive threat and enemy and galactic predator that they want to eradicate. So perhaps Bobby G could make some kind of alliance with some of the leagues in exchange for resources for the war and or, outright aiding them in the war. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? The Inari kind of fell off, so I'm worried Games Workshop is going to be a bit cautious of, Zenos alliances. But, I mean, the Necrons, especially the Silent King faction of the Necrons, definitely want to help mankind throughout this tyrannic war. The Eldoi definitely want to help them, and I think the Leagues of Votann would be a very, very welcome member of the Alliance. And speaking of Zenos, I know the Leagues of Votann aren't technically Zenos, but I'm just going to refer to them as Zenos. What I would love to happen for 40k is just for Zenos in general to play a more central stage, especially the Necrons and Eldoi. Well, especially the Necrons. But the thing is I feel like so many 40k books are Space Marine books, and don't get me wrong, I love my Space Marines. Captain Titus, I love my Space Marines. But I really, really love my big Zenos factions. Now, don't get me wrong, I want more smaller Zenos factions to get their love and attention, but especially the heavyweights, like the Eldoi and especially Necrons. Like, I can somewhat, to an extent, get the Eldoi not having too much of a center stage, because, well, they're a dying race, and the Dark Eldoi have all their super ancient, super overpowered technology, but they can't use it because their souls are constantly being sucked off by Slaanesh, and the Craftworld Eldoi are relatively technologically simple, at least compared to the Dark Eldoi. Not to mention, both factions are very skirmishy. They don't really want to engage in a full frontal war, and the Dark Eldoi are literally in the webway, and so you can't really get to Komorra, their city, and the Craftworld Eldoi can literally just leave. But I would like for the Exodite Eldoi to get more love and attention, because do you know how stupid it is for every 6 seconds a Maiden World is being attacked and they need help from a Craftworld? That is, if you step on a Maiden World, it will go from literal paradise to Catachan. I would love to see some books where some Orcs or Imperials or Tyranids or any other random faction, step foot on a Maiden World thinking it's going to be easy, just for the entire world to go from this peaceful garden to literally hell/Catachan. Not to mention, for the love of God, the Exodites would need some more lore. I think don't get me wrong, right? They should never take center stage because they're never going to leave their planet. But it would be nice for them not to essentially be a galactic doormat anymore. It's like, you're dealing with a faction that with a snap of their fingers can turn into Catachan. Not to mention, they have dinosaurs with machine guns. Could you imagine this getting the models they deserve? And people, you roll up with your Ultramarine army, and on turn 1, a bunch of freaking fast-moving dinosaur mechs just obliterate your entire army. That would be really funny. So yeah, the Eldoi need some more attention. They shouldn't be the galactic doormats. And I think the main reason they've become that is because they are hard to write for, and what writing they've gotten hasn't done so well. Like, I love the concept of the Inari, but Eldoi need more simple goals. Because the reason the Inari fell is because for them to win, they need to kill Slaanesh, and that's never going to happen. So the Eldoi, to become more center stage and to get to the point I think they need to be, they need more simple goals. Because I love the Harlequins, I love the Dark Eldoi. I think the Dark Eldoi, especially with their politicking in Komorra, is so interesting. I'd love to see some books just going over the day-to-day life and the politicking of the Komorra elites and how bad it is and how hard it is not to be thrown under. I would love to see some more craft worlds, go into Cain worship and become more warlike. I would love some idiot to step on a Maiden World and not instantly defeat the Maiden World. I'd like to see the Maiden World at least go down swinging, if not outright win. Because again, Literally, Chaos, Tyranids, Orcs, literally everything had invaded Catachan. But the magical Eldoi Catachans are literally just doormats. Come on, man. Also, Avatars of Khaine. Why have they gotten no W's? It's literally a shard of a god of war. Like, why the hell do you have no more space voids defeating these? Okay, I'm gonna stop yapping and get on to the next faction. The Necrons. I am so hyped because out of all the Zenos heal, these guys might actually be getting some love and attention. But I think they need a little bit more. I would love a three-way struggle between Emotech, the Stormlord, and his faction Necrons who want to exterminate humanity and all sentient life in the galaxy, versus the Silent King who wants to protect sentient life and wants an alliance with humanity, and the Flail King. The Flail King has gotten very little lore and hasn't yet been revealed, but we do know there is a Necron dynasty and a Necron king who has been taken over by the Flail virus. And I would absolutely love for him to tap Flayed One dimension. That, by the way, the Flayed Ones have a special dimension that only they can access, where he pretty much takes all of them and starts ruling over all of the Necron Flayed Ones. And I would love for there to be this three-way power struggle between the disgusting Flayed Ones, the genocidal Necrons, and the quote-unquote peaceful Necrons. Not to mention various other Necron dynasties. I just love the Necrons as a concept. I love their books, and I love how much lore they have. But I am greedy, and I want my Zenos to have a little bit more love and attention in the setting. Now, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite in just a second. I don't think everything needs to tie back to Chaos. I feel like the concept that every 6 seconds, oh yeah, it was Chaos, is stupid. That demeans Chaos. Because if Chaos is behind everything, then Chaos is behind nothing because you already know the problem. Having problems just be human-caused or be caused by Zenos would be much more interesting, because then when Chaos is actually involved, it's a much bigger threat. To make Chaos more of a threat and to make Chaos hit harder, and just to give the rest of the factions a foothold in 40k, I think having Zenos and just normal humans cause the problems for a little bit would be really good. Don't get me wrong, I don't want Chaos to disappear. I love it. It's just the fact that I would love for the rest of the galaxy to cause a ruckus. Now, the reason why I said I'm going to look like a hypocrite is because the next thing I want to cover that I really love to be introduced in the faction are the Chaos Sisters of Battle, also known as the Nuns of Lorgoi. Now, the Chaos Sisters of Battle haven't yet been introduced, but Games Workshop has actually planted the seeds for them, because we've actually seen 2 Sisters of Battle falling to Chaos before. We saw a Sister of Battle fall to Slaanesh and be hunted by a group of Sisters of Battle who she turned a mercenary to the worship of Slaanesh, and with the mercenary's help was able to kill the other 6 Sisters of Battle and was able to get away scot-free. So there's currently a Slaanesh corrupted Sister of Battle just out there, probably getting more and more Sisters of Battle to fall. And on top of that, there was also a Khornite Sister of Battle who got multiple systems to fall to Khorne worship. So, there's already a huge precedent for Sisters of Battle falling to Khorne and Slaanesh. But I know what you're thinking. Not all of the gods could have those Sisters of Battle. Nurgle probably could have Sisters of Battle, although we haven't seen Sisters of Battle fall to Nurgle. Nurgle has a lot of followers, and it's very easy to fall to Nurgle-like corruption due to how potent it is, and just how widespread Nurgle-like corruption is. So, although we haven't seen it, I could definitely see Nurgle getting a group of Sisters of Battle to worship him. But, at the same time, there's one god in particular who I know the Zealot Sisters of Battle probably wouldn't fall to, and that's Tzeentch. Well, I'm not too sure about that. Now, don't get me wrong, right? The Sisters of Battle are heavily devoted to the Emperor, but we've still seen them fall, but they haven't really been using magic, because they're still very against the Emperor. So, having them use magic and turn against the Emperor? No way. Well, not entirely. Because of how disconnected and disjointed the Imperium is, a lot of Sisters of Battle or just random young girls that they found to, put into the school progenium and tone out some Sisters of Battle. But, what if a lot of the miracles that are caused by the Sisters of Battle aren't by accident? It's not because of their faith. It's because a lot of the Sisters of Battle are being cloned, and the clones are heavily psychically gifted, but they don't even know they're psychically gifted. But because of their devotion to the Emperor, obviously they wouldn't, fall to chaos on accident. Because of their devotion, they would be even more restrained and more well-managed than even certified psychos. But because they don't even know they're so restrictive, they're so well regulated, I guess you can say, that they don't even know they're psychos, and a lot of the miracles we see are just their psychic essence being inadvertently used. Or perhaps they know they're psychos and they're generating these miracles just to reinforce the beliefs of the other Sisters of Battle. But I like the first idea more, where they have all these psychic Sisters of Battle who don't even know they're psychic, who are generating these massive miracles on accident, essentially. Now, don't get me wrong, I do believe a lot of the Sisters of Battle miracles are actually directly caused by the Emperor, but I like to believe a significant point of them are caused by these psychic Sisters of Battle. And perhaps that's how Zenos gets his psychic Sisters of Battle. So we have a precedent for Korn and Sineshi Sisters of Battle. We could easily have Nogel Sisters of Battle, and if my theory is true, we could have some Zinchian Sisters of Battle. Another thing I would love to come back at 40k is the One Dun. For those of you who don't know, the One Dun are a massive Zenos empire that was almost as powerful as the Imperium of Man. The Imperium only being able to slightly edge them out because of the Primorcs and Legions. And I really do only mean slightly. It's heavily likely that 2 of the Primorcs died against these guys. And so I would absolutely love the One Dun to come back. Because the first One Dun War was a massive campaign that brought the Imperium to its knees. The second One Dun War was pretty much just the equivalent of Vietnam, except we won. And the third One Dun genocide was literally just a genocide. There was no fighting. It was just bombing civilians, pretty much. So I would absolutely love this very advanced, very warlike, very eldritch kind of empire to return. We've seen that during what we know about the One Dun genocide, because again, most of the information is redacted, that they had the ability to take over the minds of people. Perhaps one of the Imperial breakaway factions I talked about earlier, that hasn't happened yet, but I would really love for the outskirts of the Imperium, some human factions to break away. Maybe one of them gets taken over by the One Dun, or was a One Dun plot. And so you'd have multiple factions that just broke away because they hate the Imperium, and perhaps a faction that broke away because they were being manipulated by the One Dun. And we could see them return this way. I would very much like that. I would also just like the Crave and the Horde to get some attention. They're both somewhat minor races, but they're both very powerful, very eldritch, and very interesting. Okay, now I got something to admit. I'm coming out. I am the Iron Hands fan. I love the Iron Hands. I love their aesthetic. I love Ferrus Manus. I love their hatred of flesh. And they should be one of the largest Space Marine legions. Well, quote-unquote legions. I believe that the Iron Hands have pretty much been robbed both in the lore and out of the lore. Out of the lore, they have been robbed because they haven't gotten the best writers. When Iron Hands are written well, they are some of the most interesting Terminator-esque characters imaginable. They're not these one-dimensional beep-boop civilians, beep-boop, flesh is weak, beep-boop, civilians, flesh, ew. They are very, very interesting characters that are, well, dealing with their hyper religion of worshipping their father as a god and then having their god be taken away from them. Also, the fact that they work so closely with the Mechanicum, and the fact that they themselves are almost like a mini Mechanicum. their Ion followers being able to craft some of the best war gear in the Imperium. Look up some Horus Heresy novels where the Iron Hands will front and center, and you won't be able to take your eyes off. These guys are so cool. And on top of that, they should have some of the most amount of Marines in the setting. But a mixture of Gilliman's politicking and, well, real-life writers not writing them very well and people not having an interest is why there's so few of them. Because, yes, they are a Shadowed Legion, but unlike the other two Shadowed Legions, these guys have very, very stable gene seed and a very, very, very good relationship with the Mechanicum. So them of all people should have rebuilt by now. I'm just saying, you can't have hundreds of thousands of Ultramarines. Meanwhile, the freaking guys who are, super hooked up with the Mechanicum have so few Marines. And the reason this is because there can only be 1,000 chapters, and the majority of those are Ultramarines, meaning the Iron Hands have to have such limited numbers because they're essentially not allowed to reform. And that really sucks. I believe the reason the Codex Astartes even took off in the first place is because Gilliman threatened everyone to break up the legions or else. To break up the legions into chapters. And either all of the Primarchs who could oppose him were gone, and all the Primarchs who could oppose him didn't have enough Marines to actually have a voice. And that's why he limited the amount of chapters to be 1,000. The majority of Space Marines would be his sons, so he could bully the other Primarchs into doing what he wanted to do. Yeah, I love Gilliman, but he is a tyrant and an a-hole sometimes. And if it wasn't for this 1,000 chapter war, if let's say, for example, there could be 2,000 chapters or 3,000 chapters, I believe there would be as many Iron Hands as there are Ultramarines. They are unfathomably efficient, have the best relationship with the Mechanicum, and are fully self-sustaining. So yeah, I am the Iron Hands fan, and I want the Iron Hands to have justice, and I want the Iron Hands to make a big comeback, and for them to take center stage. Okay, maybe not center stage, but just for them to be more of a big faction in the Imperium. Alright, if you made it to the end of the video, and you watched my entire birthday video, thank you so much. I've been meaning to make this video for a long time, and I've been saving it for my birthday. This was actually one of the first videos I wanted to make on the channel, but I wanted to save this for my birthday for whatever reason. And so I gotta say, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, do everything the Chaos Gods of YouTube love. And what are some of your opinions? Do you like any of the factions that I think need more attention? Are there other factions you think need more attention? Other factions in the Imperium or outside of it? Do you think there's any Chaos Warband that need more attention? I would actually love for the Blood Pact to get some more attention and for them to take somewhat center stage. Because Khorne's a god of war, not just the blood for the blood god, running into a melee. He's a god of war, so I think the Blood Pact are perfect servants of his and would actually expand and would actually make sense for Khorne, the god of war, to have more than just these berserkers. But what factions do you think need more attention? Do you think the Chaos Sisters of Battle will ever come to be? Do you think that Zenos need to happen? Do you think parts of the Imperium, especially in the dark side, need to break off and form their own empire? What do you think should happen? What do you think? What factions do you think should get some extra love in 40k? Please leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next one.